Hi everyone, my name's Sartu Sabrina. I'm a relationship and trauma therapist. Okay, so I have a specialism in working with people that have relationship issues, either in, with their current partners, spouse, life, work colleagues, and all of that. But also, I have a specialism in working with childhood trauma and how that is now affecting you as an adult. Yeah, but what I think that a lot of people fail to mention when they talk about childhood trauma and they talk about the strategies and they talk about how you can, move through your trauma is they may neglect to mention the other aspects. Yeah. So here's the thing. When we're talking about childhood trauma, there is a trauma model for it. So if someone is a trauma therapist like myself, they'll be aware of the different models. Yeah. So the first things first is stage one is to stabilize you, to ground you, and to get an outline of your life, an outline of what may have been traumatic, what may not have been. Yeah. So we kind of know what we're working with. And also in this first stage, which some therapists don't really talk about, is we need to have an understanding of your culture, right? I need to have an understanding of your culture. I need to understand your religion, so have an idea of your religion but not just your religion, it's how you practice your religion. So people say I'm practicing or I'm non-practicing, but what I tend to say is, well, what do you believe? Yeah. And then talking about going further, we talk about your culture, but more importantly, not general culture, it's how you've experienced your culture. Yeah. So how you've experienced it personally and also living with your family. Yeah. We also talk about other things that may be tough for you to speak about. So it could be things to do with being a woman or to do with being a man. It could be to do with things regarding sexuality, disability, anything like that that comes into play. Yeah. So that's what we do in the first stage. The next stage is obviously we talk about processing the trauma. This is a time where we kind of look at what's going on for you currently, and then if we go back and forth, yeah, so we might go back to childhood a little bit. So it's like you're dipping your toe in, dipping your toe out. So it's not a constant, oh my God, I'm going through all this bad stuff. No. And we also look at how your childhood has affected your decision making as an adult now and what decisions you plan to make in the future. Yeah. This is all brilliant in a way. It's all about you. But what a lot of trauma therapists don't tell you is as you go through the processing stage, a key part of it is allowing you to access your anger. Yeah, really access your anger. And that can be really hard for a lot of people who may believe, and especially believe, that it's not good to be angry. It's not good to be angry with your parents. It's not good to be angry with your siblings or your relatives. How will this anger and saying these negative things benefit me? Yeah. And I hear you on that, which is why it's done very slowly with me. And the reason why we talk about accessing your anger is because that might be a part of you that you've kind of shut down. Because, like if you're Muslim, there's a saying, Jannah lies at the feet of our mothers. Yeah. And one of the strongest du'as we can ever receive, or prayers, is from our fathers. So it's something that we really don't talk badly of our parents. But in therapy, it's not about talking negatively about them. It's about you explaining your experience. Yeah. Then after the anger, as we're processing, one of the last stages is grief. It's you, perhaps, really, it's really connecting with what may have been missing from your life, what may have been too much in your life growing up, and what you may want now, what you yearn for now that you can't possibly get anymore. Yeah, for whatever the reason. Your parents might not be alive anymore, or the person that hurt you might not be alive. Yeah. Or you think that there's no hope with your family, so there's no point in carrying on with the therapy. But here's the thing. Once we have processed the grief, and you will come to some sort of acceptance. And that's when you will start to change. Yeah, and this is the key bit. Because in your grief, you'll realise that not everything is as black and white as you first thought when you started therapy. Everything comes like a 3D sphere or cube, in which there's your perspective as a child, there's your parents' perspective from then, and if your parents are alive, from now, because inevitably a lot of my clients do sometimes go and ask questions to their parents or their uncles or their aunties to get a bit of a background or a bit of a history as to why things were done the way they were. And then as an adult, here in the here and now, you really start to see that there are many different layers to what you went through. So sometimes, just sometimes, I hear stories from my clients in which they've managed to kind of reconcile with their parents or their loved ones, where they no longer feel as though they are the black sheep. They have an understanding that they are carrying a lot for the family. Yeah, it doesn't always happen. Sometimes you feel lonely, you feel grief, you feel anger, because there are some people that you just cannot connect with. Whether that be a parent, a sibling, a friend, a lost love, that's just the way it is. And I support you through this. So I guess what I'm trying to say is this. There is more to therapy than just talking badly about someone or digging up things from the past that you don't really want to talk about. There are going to be things that you don't want to talk about, and there are going to be days when you don't want to come to therapy. Let's not get it twisted. Yeah. But also, there are going to be days where you're laughing and crying in the same session, because you'll realise that not every single memory you have or hold is bad. You'll realise that this is a bit more multifaceted. This is a bit more than what I thought it was going to be. But the most important thing is, if you are going to do therapy regarding childhood issues, trauma, relationships, anything like that, please, 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 if you're not working with me, but you're working with somebody else, make sure that your therapist is qualified in trauma therapy. That's the first thing. Secondly, make sure they have an understanding of diversity, culture, your culture, your race issues, cultural issues, history, yeah, religious, yeah. They don't have to be the same faith as you, but a basic understanding, yeah. And lastly, if you're going for trauma therapy, make sure that your therapist has an understanding of somatic therapies. That means therapies that involve using the body and you connecting with yourself and with your body. Yeah. No, it's not mumbo jumbo hocus pocus. I can explain it a bit more if needed, but these are the things that I really suggest you look for in a trauma therapist. Yeah. These are the things that I had to train in and grapple with. Every single year of my training involved diversity training. Yeah, because it's important. I've worked in high-end areas of London, in areas of London which are more diverse. Sometimes I'm like, how am I working with people that went to boarding school, that travelled the world and that are elite? And then I'm working with people that have barely left their postcode. Yeah. That's the variety of people and life in London. Yeah. And in the UK and the world. Have a great day, people.